Sorry, y'all. It's been a busy day. I had work, and then, which I sling donuts on the weekends if you didn't know that. I'm your local donut girl, and I ask you what you want and throw donuts in a box. And that is what I do. And I smell like donuts when I come home. But it's early morning, so that way I'm home with my kids by the time they're up and ready for the day. So that makes me happy. Okay. And then we went to go watch Red One. Red One is so good if you guys haven't watched it. Like, if you like Christmas movies, go watch it with your kids. But yes, I'm grateful for all of the people that helped me along the way. Like, I could not have survived without my church. And you know what? People have their things that they like to see about the Mormon church. People have trauma from the Mormon church. And I will never, ever, ever, like, invalidate that. If you have trauma from the Mormon church, that is valid. And I'm so sorry anything bad happened to you. I apologize on behalf of, like, the church, even though I'm not a leader in the church. Like, I'm sorry, and that's never okay. And if you're on your journey with religion and you hate the church, then I respect that. And I will absolutely never tell anybody to come to my church. That's another thing I will never. But I will tell you time and time again that my church saved me and my children. And I'm grateful. So the bishop ended up taking us to our apartment. And when we walk in, it is just this really old apartment. There's like no couch, no tape. I mean, it's just you walk in, and it used to be like a nursing home. So you walk in, and I still have pictures, and it is like the like kitchen from like the 60s, right? And like a little like sliding plastic door separator, right? And then there's like a living room with like carpet that hadn't been changed for decades, and then like windows that you just like crank and push open. And we were on the third floor, no elevator because the elevator was always broken. Third floor. And then there was one bedroom, and the bedroom was quite large, which was really good. So we were in our little one bedroom, and we look, and there's like a bunk bed that somebody had given, and a queen size bed. And they were like, we're going to build the beds, so you guys will have those. We'll come build those today. And I walked in, and I was just like, how do I keep my kids here when they just came from such like a privileged life? And now I took them away from everything they know, and now I have them in this like one bedroom apartment in a state they've never even been to, with people that they have no idea who they are. I'm their only person. Like, how am I going to do this? Like, I didn't know how to do it. And my bishop could tell that I was panicking when we walked in there. And the bishop's wife had actually gotten together like a little welcome bag for the kids with some games that were in there, because my kids left everything behind. So they had some games to go along with like the few toys they were able to pack, and just, you know, things to make them happy. And he knew that like it was very difficult for me. And so he's like, you know what? He's like, let's not stay here. Let's go to my house. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, let's go to my house. And he's like, come on. So we all got in his car and we went to his house, and he was actually getting ready to go somewhere with his kids. But like me and like the guy that, you know, was like with us, who he treated like a son, stayed with me and my kids, and we chilled out at his house, and my kids were playing on the Nintendo, and they were having so much fun. And I kept saying, shh, guys, don't scream. Shh, don't scream. And he's like, please stop telling them not to scream. They can scream. Let them scream. And it was like so... I needed him to tell me that it was okay if they were loud, because I didn't realize that I could never let them be loud. Like, I couldn't let things get out of control if I was in charge, because I would get in trouble for it. And I was just like, it was so weird. We were in like a different world, and they are the kindest, most gentle, amazing people. And it was really sweet. And I remember they were like, do you want water? Or do you want anything to drink? And I was like, yeah, can I just have a glass of water? They're like, I think we have some Pellegrino. And I was like, sure. And so they gave me like this sparkling water, and I was like, thanks. And I'm sitting in this house where everything is white and everything is immaculate, and it's the most beautiful house I've ever seen. And my kids are just running around, and I was like, eeks. But it was so much fun. And then we ended up going home that night, and they had already built the beds. The beds were ready. They had new bedding, and I was like, okay, like, we can do this. We get into bed, and I'm like praying to God, like, God, just please, I don't know how I'm going to do this. My kids are supposed to start school in like a week. I don't even have school clothes for them. Like, I didn't know, like, I had gone, sorry guys, I have a stutter when I get anxious. I had gone to register them from school already, so I knew where they were going to go to school, but I didn't have anything ready for them. And then the bishop's wife called me, and she said, hey, we're actually going to go shopping tomorrow, so make sure that you guys are ready this time. I'll pick you up. And I was like, okay. And she's like, we're going to do a little bit of back to school shopping. So I was like, oh my gosh, yes. Like, I'm going to be able to get, like, you know, pencils and paper And the next day she came and picked us up. She's the sweetest, sweetest woman. And we went to Target, and I was like, okay, so if you just tell me like what I'm allowed to get, or like what my budget is, like if it's like $100, like we'll just buy some pencils and paper. And she was like, oh, sweetie, you're so sweet, but no, there's no budget. She's like, there's no budget. Like the kids need clothes. They don't have clothes. And I was like, yeah, but like we can go to like, and she was like, it's Target. And she's like, we'll find them clothes. And my kids were so little. And I remember her just like looking and being like, adorable in the cart, adorable in the cart. And I was like, I'm going to have a panic attack. And she bought them whole new wardrobes, brand new pajamas, like everything, and like backpacks and like everything that they were going to need. And I was like dumbfounded. And then she's like, what do you need? And she's like, let's go shopping. And I was like, I don't want anything. She's like, no, you need clothes. And I was like, you did this for my kids, and I'm so thankful. I was like, I cannot take anything. And I was like, if I ever get anything, I have to get it myself, please. I can't let you do that. Like, this is too much. And so she's like, okay. So I had my like 2 pairs of pants, my 1 pair of shoes, and my like 2 shirts. And that's what I rotated through for the first like year I was here. Okay. So it was rough for a while. But I made sure that my kids were always clean. They had bought them new church clothes. I remember that night we went home and I put them in their like new jammies, and I still have a picture of this. Hopefully I can post all these pictures of the memories I'm telling you guys. But of them just like curled up in like my queen size bed that I was going to sleep in, and they were all in their new pajamas. And I just felt like we were going to be okay. Like nothing made sense, but we were going to be okay. And the whole time I'm getting text messages from my ex. A lot of people said, why didn't you get rid of your phone? I was still programmed and conditioned by him to know that I couldn't stop communicating with him. And that sounds so twisted, y'all. Like, if we would have gone through witness protection, right? Like, if we would have gone through witness protection, they would have taken our electronics, gave us new names, sent us off. It wasn't like that. It was literally like, how do we get you guys safe? And they never helped me deprogram, if that makes sense, because they didn't understand. And maybe one day, hopefully I can talk about this in a larger setting, and this is my larger setting now, but so that people in like law enforcement or in the medical community can understand better what it's like in the mind of somebody who's been captive for so long, because I still was conditioned, even though I was away from him, to follow the rules. So the rules were you had to answer him when he talked to you. And so I was on the other side of the country, but if he asked me a question, I answered him, not like where we were or anything like that, but like, what are you doing? I'm with the kids. Are you talking to anybody? No, I'm not talking to anybody. You better not fucking talk to this person. I'm not talking to this person. Like, it was still, there was no, it was, and he had a permanent no contact order. And then he would text me and I would text him back because that's what I was trained to do. And then he would tell me that I was breaking the no contact order and that I was going to go to prison and my kids weren't going to have a mom. So then I was panicked, like, I'm going to go to prison now because I broke the no contact order because I have to talk. It was, I wish I could go back and hug me and just tell her it's okay and take that phone out of her hands and say no more. Like, he doesn't control you anymore. But he did. Like, it's so embarrassing. That man controlled me. That man controlled everything I did for a solid 6 months after we escaped. Every single thing I did, that man controlled it. And it took a good 6 months before he didn't own me anymore. And then it has taken 6.5 years for me to be able to be where I am now. Like, even when I got on this app, guys, I was still so petrified of him. I wouldn't show his picture. I wouldn't say his name because I was so terrified of him. And now I'm like, fuck it. You took my life, Carl Robertson. You took my life. You took it from me. And I'm not afraid of him anymore. As much as I'm terrified, I'm not afraid, because what else can you do? Like, what else can you take besides my life? And if you take my life, Carl, everyone will know that it's you. But yeah, so I was still being controlled even though I was out.